back-to-back failures, literally no money, being like, we have to restart again. And it was like, do we go get jobs? Like, do we just not be entrepreneurs anymore? It takes years to build your brand, years to cultivate it. One person even told me your first year, you're probably gonna wanna have a secondary job to cover your expenses. And I just like couldn't wrap my mind around it. Come on, we put man on the moon in 1960. You're telling me I can't make money right away with a real estate license? Like, are you kidding me?
Tyler Hassman has built one of the most recognizable personal brands in real estate. Known for his viral short form video on TikTok and Instagram, it seems like he's an overnight success. But there's a lot more behind the man and underneath that cap than you might think. On the podcast, we dive into how he built his business, what's next for video marketing in 2024, what you should be focusing on, and how you too can learn to brand it like Tyler Hassman. Do you remember like the night that we met?
Yes, at Earl's.
We met at Earl's.
Yes, absolutely, we met at Earl's. I do remember that now.
I can't remember. Did you reached out to me
Yes.
and sent me a message and be like, I think if I remember correctly, you're like, dude, I want to see if I can pick your brain on some stuff because, I've been trying to like dominate everything on TikTok. And I'm like, who's this old man that keeps showing up? This Brad McCallum guy. And I was like, wait a second. Wait, I'm the old guy? This is insane. And then you're like, let's meet up. Let's talk. And that night you had been maybe 2 months in the industry.
Yes.
I'd already been seeing you pop up everywhere on TikTok. And I was just kind of blown away. I was feeling like buried by the amount of content you were putting out even just then. And that's when I got to learn a little bit about your story. But once I understood where you were from and what you'd been doing, I feel like there's this big backstory that everyone needs to know about Tyler Hassman because your life pre-real estate is a whole cool story. So how'd you get, like, what was the path, the 5-6 years leading up to you entering into the real estate space, getting your license and becoming the man we know today?
I love that we're starting with that because not a lot of people know that, right?
It's my favorite part.
So I've always been a big dreamer. Like I'll start even really quick in high school. I've always wanted to be a big dreamer. Like I've never once in my life wanted a normal career. Growing up, it was like, I want to be an NHL player, right? I'm from Saskatchewan, so I feel like every Saskatchewan kid's dream is hockey. Once I realized that wasn't happening, I just didn't know. I just wanted to, live a big life. I was like, was watching MTV. Rob Dyrdek is a big inspiration for me. And he was in California and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And I just wanted to do that. I didn't know what it was. And then during high school, I was just super entrepreneurial and I started making snowboard and skateboard videos and I had like a t-shirt brand. Okay. So I would like get snowboarders to wear them and like I make my own snowboard videos.
What was the name of the brand?
I had a couple different ones. There was one TN and one opposite of common, OOC. Ooh. So yeah, we were kind of just having fun with stuff like that.
Opposite of common.
Yeah. That. I still might have to bring that back. Yeah. I kind of like that. So yeah, we just did like t-shirts, hoodies. It was fun and then never went anywhere. But it was fun to like use YouTube. That was my first time using YouTube to be like, here we are in Saskatchewan. I get to use this platform and it feels like we're like Rob Dyrdek on MTV. You know what I mean? I get to like, that's our videos on there. So it was so fun. And that's how I learned how to film and edit and post videos. And then once high school finished, was not going to university or anything. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went to a suit store for like 2 months, minimum wage. I just needed to make money, right? And I was good at sales. And then after that, I went and sold cars. So selling cars was absolutely amazing. I got to learn a lot about sales, which is really, really good skill to have. But then at the dealership, they had this young marketing company that is very successful now. And they're like, hey, like we think you should do like video walk around tours of cars, put them on YouTube, and you can send them to the email inquiries. And that's what I did. Every single car on the lot, I would go around with my iPhone and talk about its features and upload it to YouTube. And then since the whole...
Wait, 1 second. Yeah. Are these videos still online? Like, can people see these?
They are. They're amazing. So embarrassing. You wouldn't even think it's me because like my voice is... It's just like so embarrassing, but I'll share them one day. So they're still on there. And yeah, it was just funny. And it turned out to be really good and people really liked that. And I did every car on the lot. And it was just fun because I loved making videos and I was still just with my phone. So during selling cars, I really wanted to get into real estate. And I just thought it was a cool business to be in. I just thought it was cool. That's it, right? And a lot of rich people are in real estate. So I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. So I went to a RE/MAX office and was like, hey, I want to be a real estate agent. And the broker's like, you're way too young. You're only 18. Nobody will take you seriously. Stick to selling cars because you'll make better money doing that. I walked out of there like crushed. I'm like, well, I can't be an agent, right?
Yeah.
And then I went back to selling cars, and this is like maybe a year and a half, 2 years out of high school. I then was like, hey, maybe I can like do real estate investing. So I went to a lot of networking events, started meeting people, and then I learned about multifamily real estate, doing joint ventures, raising money, and all that kind of fun stuff. So long story short, at all these networking events, me and my business partner, my good friend at the time, still good friends, we ended up getting a couple apartment buildings under contract, and we ended up raising some money with another investor, and we ended up buying these things. I was like 20 years old, 21. There was
and these weren't necessarily right in the city you were living in.
No, they
right?
were in like small towns, Mooseman and Rocanville, Saskatchewan, Potash District. So a lot of opportunity out there. And we got those deals because like here, there's this, like, we're these young guys willing to do anything, right? And there was a lot of investors and people with money that wanted to get these buildings but didn't want to do any of the work. Because in these small towns, you can't just hire property managers out there. So we ended up building up a nice portfolio of apartment buildings, property management company. But then, and along those journeys, I was like still doing vlogs and doing videos of the apartments. I just love doing content. But then I just got this sense of like, this isn't what I want to do, right? We're like dealing with tenants. We're driving to all these small towns. I'm like, I want to like go to California. I want to do bigger things. I just didn't like that. And that's when I pivoted and then just got in my car one day. This is so cheesy, but I was at I went to my friend at the yoga studio and was like, you got to come to the classes. I've never been to a yoga class. And it was like a long 3-hour thing. And then there was an hour-long meditation after. And during that meditation, something came to me because I was like really figuring out I'm like stuck, right? And something came to me to go to the desert. And I told her that after, and she's like, well, then you should like go to the desert. Like, have you ever been to like Arizona? I'm like, no. She's like, I think you should go. And I'm like, I think I should. Not even joking. 2 weeks later, I get in my car and just drive down to Arizona. I've got like a couple $1,000s. That's it. And what I was going to do down there was property management, like Airbnbs, vacation rentals. That was really early on. Now it's like oversaturated. It's crazy. But I started doing that down there. And here I was in Arizona. And it was like, wow. And still doing content and built up a portfolio there, did stuff in Ottawa, Calgary, and then me and my now fiance, Jade, she was in on all that too. We then went down to Costa Rica. So at this point, we had a little portfolio of short-term rentals, Airbnbs, still had my apartment building shares, obviously sold some because I was no longer like operations. And then we went down to Costa Rica, one-way ticket, didn't really know anyone. And within a couple months, we ended up getting a hotel on a kind of a rent to own ordeal. So really
this is like more like
that
rent. This is more like that rental arbitrage.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So you go take someone who owns a property down there. You do a long-term rental with them, then you repackage that through short-term rentals like Airbnb, VRBO.
Exactly. Cool. Yes. And it was a really quick way to make some quick cash and also start building a portfolio.
Yeah.
And then the other side to that was management, because a lot of these property owners are like, wait, like what if instead of renting it, like you just manage it and take some money off the top? And we loved that because you have no expenses. But anyways, and then this hotel popped up and these owners were like, you know what? Like, we're tired of it. Like, you know, they didn't even have it on like online or anything. So we transformed this thing like within a couple months into a co-work, co-live digital nomad hotspot. It was 12 units, swim up bar, pool. And then across the street, we had a commercial space that was our co-work. It was an office. And it was like our dream come true. Yeah. Like that was everything we worked towards. And we raised some more money, invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into this thing. Plus we had these other Airbnbs rolling. And like for once in like 5 or 6 years, because that was probably this whole story from selling cars to then was probably 5 years. Finally, things were clicking, right? Because it was always like, even the apartment buildings, like, yeah, you make a little bit, but like,
to hit.
Exactly. Yeah. It was always failure, a little bit of money, and then not money for a couple months. It was just barely getting by, but I just focused on the bigger vision. So here we are, so happy. Things finally are clicking. And then all of a sudden, we decided to actually do our launch party on March 17th of, I think, 2019, I think it was. And because 3 months, you know, we did some renos, new furniture, all that stuff, did marketing. And then all of a sudden, the day before, the Costa Rica government was like, hey, there's this COVID thing. You know, everything is shutting down.
This is March 2020.
2020. Okay, that's what yeah. And then we're like, wait, what? And then all of a sudden, like, we started seeing all these bookings getting canceled.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, whatever, it's nothing. Within 2 weeks, we saw about $400,000 from our Airbnbs as well and a hotel of bookings go down to zero within a few weeks, and our expenses stayed.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, we're like, are you kidding me? We didn't know what was going on. We had to go back to Canada. We're like, well, we'll come back. We had our managers and stuff down there taking care of it, but we couldn't host anybody at all. It was illegal to actually host people. So here we are, our expenses stayed, and we couldn't get any breaks on that. So for 3 months, all of our reserve fund was gone. Any extra money we had was gone. Cashing in personal RSPs, tax-free saving account, credit cards, lines of credit, everything to pay the employees to save our stuff. And then by month 4 or 5, it got to the point where we're like, we have no money. We're back in Saskatchewan, Canada. We can't go back. And we got to literally lose all this. So it was really hard. I had a really amazing mentor, still a mentor of mine, Graham. He's been through many different business stuff. So he's like, Tyler, you're young, you're 24. He's like, cut the losses, call the owners of these properties, end the contracts, let everyone know, wrap things up. And I'm like, no, like we got to keep going. I got to hang on. He's like, you're just going to burn more money. We don't know about this COVID thing, how long it's going to be. Thank God we did, because it ended up being longer. And then, we had to just cancel everything, and it sucked. So literally went from like riding a high to losing everything, and then being in debt hundreds of thousands because investor money, there's other debts from leases. It was like a disaster, and it was really hard, but got through that with some mentors. And then I spent a couple years doing some consulting because I was always doing like videos and stuff, right? So people knew about me. They'd want help with their business. So I'd go in and help, but really just trying to get by and pay back these debts. And then we ended up here in Calgary, did some more vacation rental management stuff, started that up, scaled to like 60 properties. Bam, big disaster again. Just wasn't good. We weren't hitting targets. And then just a lot of complications within the business. Yeah. And then we're like, we got to wrap this one up too. And then that was back-to-back failures. And now it's 25, 26 years old. Like literally no money, being like, we have to restart again. And it was like, do we go get jobs? Like, do we just not be entrepreneurs anymore? Like all of our other friends are having kids, getting married, buying houses. And here we are at this point without even a vehicle, being like, how are we going to pay rent? And that was when I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go get my real estate license. Like I always thought agents make really good money. And I'm like, I feel like I could easily do that. I'm good at sales, good at marketing. I've wholesaled many deals. So I've technically done it. I'm like, I should just go and get my license. So it took me 24, 25-ish days to get my license. Because here in Alberta, you do it online. Yeah. I put my head down and read like crazy. Because I'm like, I need to get my license. We got to make money. And then got my license. And then that was September of 2.5 years ago. And then, so that I don't know, it was a long story, but that was the lead up to that, getting the license.
I think what's so important about that story is that so many people now in the industry, like so many people just in general, you walk around the city, they see you, they see the hat, and they like recognize you as that guy from TikTok.
Yes.
Right? Like we always meet each other at conferences, and you're like, you're that guy from YouTube. I'm like, you're the guy from TikTok. But what I think is kind of interesting is that so many agents will look at you as this young guy, just got his license, came in, and they will imagine that you just went from like unboxing shelves on the night shift at Best Buy, to getting your real estate license, and now all of a sudden just all of a sudden connecting, right? Like they're seeing that quick overnight success and not knowing that this is like now 7-8 years into a journey of entrepreneurship. But what I think is really neat about that is how in each place you've kind of done what you've done in real estate, but in rental arbitrage. At the car dealership, you always understood this idea of the power of putting yourself on video and becoming a brand like unto itself. So when people think about who Tyler Hassman is today, I think they think, okay, short form video, the tours, like the hustle, all that stuff. But like, what was it about TikTok that you saw early on and said like, okay, this is the platform that's built exactly for me, or the people that will resonate the most? Like, so like what part of that is just, hey, there's Tyler, the content creator, but then there's the entrepreneur who sees this opportunity and goes as fast as he possibly can towards it?
Yes. Couple different things. Number one, needed money and fast. Because like, not only do we not have money and we have to pay rent, it was also like, had to pay like debts back still, because this is only 2 years, year and a half after the Costa Rica stuff. So
is that stuff gone now? Is that pretty much?
Oh, Yes.
Amazing.
Thank God. Yes. Because it's been an amazing past couple of years.
Okay. And do you do anything with the rental arbitrage stuff? Or
No,
is that just
nothing. I still have shares in my apartment buildings.
Yeah.
But I don't do any of that anymore.
Gotcha.
Long story short, I'm just like so laser focused on these smaller tasks of like making videos. Cause before I was like scattered. I was like doing 6 different things at once. So now I'm just focused on this. I'll of course get back into buying some stuff, but for now, just this. But yeah, so I needed money, right? It was like, I need money. And I just knew that everyone was blowing up on TikTok, right? Like people like out of nowhere were becoming famous. People would have a video go viral and they're getting all these followers. And I went when I got my license, I was like, hey, before that, I was like, hey, I got to go talk to brokerages or teams. And every single person that was like, takes years to build your brand, years to cultivate it. Your first year, you might even want to have, one person even told me your first year, you're probably going to want to have a secondary job to cover your expenses. And I just like couldn't wrap my mind around it. I'm like, you're telling the guy that like drove down to Arizona, figured something out with a couple $1,000, went to Costa Rica with his girlfriend at the time, now fiance, like went down there, got a hotel. Like, I've been through a lot. And I'm like, come on, we put man on the moon in 1960. You're telling me I can't make money right away with a real estate license. Like, are you kidding me? So I just like couldn't understand it. And then other people were like, oh, well, like, you got to join a team, but then it costs extra money, all these things. I'm like, none of this works for my thing. I wasn't trying to get rich quick. I was just trying to pay rent, right? Yeah. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. And then I'm looking on TikTok. I'm seeing people blow up. You always hear about someone that comes out with a new shirt or something, or a new fashion line. They make a couple of videos, it goes viral, they sell a bunch, they make millions of dollars. So I was like, okay, what if I did property tours and put it on TikTok? Like that should generate business. Why wouldn't it? Yeah. And nobody was really doing it here in Calgary. There's other people in LA and New York. And then obviously I was seeing your property tour videos on YouTube, but I was like, I don't have the resources, time, money to do that. Right. So I was like, if I just do this like short form content, it's not polished at all with my phone, maybe it'll work. So I was like, I'm going to do it, but I got to do it consistently. So I gave myself 60 days. I'm going to do it nonstop every single day and go crazy with it. So I got on my bike and went to that first property.
So to just pause you right there, getting on the bike, this is one of my favorite stories, because for all those agents that are like watching this and thinking like, I just, I need a little bit more money. I need more preparation. I need different gear. I need just like the perfect house. I need the perfect scenario. I need to lose 5 pounds. Like this story will change how you think about what you actually need to get started.
Yes. So I was like, hey, I got to go film these houses. Yeah. And I didn't, at that time, have any connections. I didn't know anybody in the industry, didn't even know how to use our MLS system to book showings. So I was like, okay, like show homes, like maybe that's a thing. It'll be easy to go in, right? So I'm calling up these show homes and these builders, and they're like, oh yeah, you can come by. We're located in the Northeast. Well, they're suburbs. Like builders here in Calgary are as far out. The train doesn't even go there. And I was like, hey, whatever. I got to do it though. Like I need to make sure this happens. And I got a bike and I could ride the train. So that's what I did. And it was really hard because before that, I had a Benz on lease. So like I've had nice cars, I've had cool things. And then like 4 months later, I don't have a car, can't get a car. And I'm riding a $50 bike off Facebook Marketplace. So it was a lot of like, just like, what is going on?
Cue the sad music.
Exactly. It's not like I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ride my bike to film these tours. I was like, I really hope this works. And like, I'm done with failing. Like if not, I'm going to get like an oil and gas job. Right. So I get on the bike, I ride to the train. I take the train all the way as far northeast as you can go, which you have to go through some pretty interesting neighborhoods to get there. So I get all the way to the last stop. I get off and I'm like, hey, I still got a bike for 20 minutes. My GPS says on my phone. And I'm biking, I'm having these like negative thoughts, but I'm like, no, like I got to keep going. Like, you know what I mean? This is all I have. Like I need to make sure it works. And I can't do anything else. I don't have money for ads. I don't have money for anything else. So I'm biking, and then it starts raining and I'm like soaking wet, like poured on, because I have to go on like basically like a service road highway. No sidewalks, nothing. So I'm getting poured on, vehicles are flying by. And then I finally get to the show home and I was like, so embarrassed. So I put my bike like around the corner, and then I like walked around and I walked in hoping that they wouldn't see I rode up on a bike, but I was soaking wet. And then first thing she says is like, "Oh my God, I saw you riding a bike. Why are you riding a bike? It's like pouring rain." And I'm like, "Oh, I just like to get to know the neighborhood for clients." Couldn't think of anything to say. And I was just so down. And I was like, "Hey, like I was one that called. Can I come and just like do my tour?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead." And at this point, like I wasn't like, "Okay, yeah, like I'm gonna get this shot. Cause like I said, I've done filming before. I was just like so down. I just like grabbed my phone and was like, whatever. Walked through the property, didn't really care. And I was just like, what am I even doing? I just like, you get those like the self-fulfilling doom cycles where you're just nonstop negative this, negative that. And I'm literally leaving footprints behind because my feet were so wet. And then I finished it up. I'm like, okay. And she's like, oh, we got a couple more you can film. And I'm like, no. I was just like, I just want to go home. So I get on my bike. Once again, I
just want to go
Yeah,
home.
oh, it was bad. And I get back and then I'm on the train. And I'm editing it, still not wanting to do it, but I'm like, no, I promised myself like 60 days, I'll do it every day, you know, because I don't want to have to know like what if. Like, what if, like, I don't want it like a year from now of me stopping and then being like, what if I would have went all in on the videos? What would have my life looked like? Because a lot of times I look back in my early years, I'm like, what if I would have kept, you know, making these vlogs? Could have I been a famous YouTuber by now? Could have I done this? Exactly. And I was like, what if? And that really stuck with me, that what if. I don't know where that came from. And I actually have that tattooed right on my hand now because I always look at it, you know, thinking like, what if? And I was just like, do you know what? Okay, I don't want to look back thinking like, what if? So I went all in, posted it. And then I got home, nothing happened. And I was like, whatever. So I kept doing that for 2 weeks on the bike. And this time, though, that was the last rainy day. But this was September, so it started getting a little cold.
Yeah.
But I went to all these different suburbs. And then that's when I found out how to book showings with agents.
Nice.
I didn't know that at the time. So I'm like, I could just like do stuff downtown. So I was doing condos downtown, didn't have to go as far. And then it was about like 3 weeks in, I was getting like a little bit of views, but I had 2 of them get like 20 or 30,000 views, which at the time was big. And then it was probably almost a month in, a little less than a month, I get an inquiry. And someone on Instagram was like, hey, I seen your TikTok video. I want more details on this house. I like celebrated like crazy because up until then, nothing. And I was like, I don't think this real estate thing is going to work out. But 60 days, right? I got to do it for 60 days at least. I got to see it through. And here I am stressing about everything. And this lead comes in. I literally celebrated harder with that lead than anything else. More than when I, you know, hit 100,000 followers, when I hit all these views, when I closed, you know, 12 deals in a month. Didn't celebrate nearly as hard as when this first lead came in. Obviously, I didn't like I literally went out and celebrated. I was just like jumping up and down. I was like fist bumping. I'm like, yeah. When my fiance, I was telling her, I'm like, I got a lead. Oh my gosh. She's like, you closed a deal? Like there's money? I'm like, no, I didn't close a deal, but like just a lead came in. And then I sent them the info and they ghosted me after that. They never ended up responding. But it was like, this works. And then that like got me this extra energy to be like, one person saw it and inquired, there's going to be more. And then literally like 4 or 5 days after that, I get contacted by this person, my second ever lead. Hey, I'm coming from Ontario. Me and my sister both want to buy houses. Are you available this weekend? We love your videos. And I was like, what? And then next thing you know, I booked these tours and they come out on the weekend. They're like, yeah, we want to write offers. And I was like, okay. So then I go and I'm like, I don't know where to get the paperwork. And I called my broker at the time. And then she's like, oh, well, you go into web forms. And I'm like, what's web forms? She's like, you didn't do any of the Krebs training? I'm like, what's Krebs? I didn't know. Because I'm like, I don't have time for training. I got to go market. I got to make money. I got to get leads. Yeah. So she's like, this is a good problem to have though. You got clients wanting to write offers, but you don't even know how to. So she helped me out. We write these offers. One of them got accepted. Then the next week, the other one got accepted on a different property. Long story short, they both closed and I got $7,800 each one of those deals, about $7,800 each. So that was like $15K. And that was like life-changing. Like life-changing. I was like, we don't got to worry about rent. You know what I mean? I can get groceries. Don't got to worry about that. And I'm like, it was also like, this is something that's going to work. I knew it. And that my foot even went further on the pedal. I started doing even sometimes 2 videos a day. So I'm like, if I do more videos and get more leads, this will work even more. So I just went insane. And because of that, I feel like the algorithm started picking up. And by December, I closed like 4 or 5 deals. January was 12. February was 14 or something. March was my best one. I think it was 15. And it was just like insane money. It went from like, you know, nothing to, you know, that first, I think it was second month or third month that came in, that was 15,000. And then it went 20, 30, 40,000. And it was like within 3 months, 4 months, let's say, life was completely changed. Now, having said that, the market was I couldn't have timed this more. I didn't time it right, but like that was the most perfect timing for this to happen.
It's amazing. It's amazing though how lucky people who work really hard get.
Yes,
absolutely. Like, that's always amazing to me.
Yes,
right?
And I knew nothing about the real estate market, right?
Yeah.
I just was making these videos, and now when I look back, I'm like, if you actually look at when the hottest market was here in Calgary, it was January, February, March of that year.
Yeah.
And that just happened when all my stuff was going. And it's like, I think that's one of those things from the universe of like, you just put your head down, do the work, the universe will come back and pay you. And then my life from there has just changed ever since that. But like, it's crazy. I'm glad we told my story before, because like, that wasn't 4 months of work to get that kind of money. That was like 6, almost 7 years of trying things, failing, learning, losing this, winning this, to then get that, right?
So you're like you're really honing that skill around, okay, this is an actual opportunity. Because I think this is what a lot of young people get caught in, right? It's like, man, I could go do this, I could go do that. You start watching like the Hermosis, you start watching the Gary V's, you start seeing all the different people, and you're like, okay, some people are making money on doing this little idea or this idea or an Etsy shop or whatever it might be. And as you get a little bit older, as you get that experience with those failures, like of actual time and actual money, you get refined. Like you're like, okay, that's an opportunity that I'm not going to go chase. Right. And so I think that's what I find so cool about with what you've built with TikTok, with your personal brand and real estate, it was like, it had to run through the filter of, does what I'm doing today bring me money next month?
Yes.
Like, it has to do that first. This is not a pipe dream. This is not just about being this visible brand, right? Or people knowing me or high-fiving me at the mall. This is actually about putting food on the table first. I love that. I think we have some parallels. Like when I got started and I did my very first listing video, I had a car and I had a credit card. Didn't have the cash, but I went and bought like $7 or $8 grand worth of stuff on Amazon. All the gear showed up on a Thursday morning. I actually unboxed it at my dad's listing, and I brought my laptop and I started watching YouTube videos on like how to balance a gimbal. And then like, I'm like, man, all my footage looks like crap. Like it all looks too rocky. Like, okay, how to walk with a gimbal. Okay, how to set it to slow-mo and stuff. So even though all the settings and everything were like off, and you know, my videographer today would be like, it was like 99% better than everything else that was out there. And I went and sat that open house on the weekend, and I was like, someone walked in and they were like, oh my God, you're the guy from the YouTube video. And I was like, wait a second. They are treating me like an authority, a brand new agent, nearly 40, dead broke, feeling like this was his last shot at changing his family's future. And now all of a sudden they're treating like I'm somebody because they just saw me on the other side of a screen. And so I think, for me, I went out in those first 3 or 4 years, I grinded. Like I was 70, 80 hours of work, like content creation, touring properties, filming myself, editing, coming up with creative ideas, but all that stuff. And I think the reason why was because I had tried different ideas. I'd ran different businesses in the past. And it was like, I always felt that there was this room with all these successful people in it. And that door was like closed. Yes. And the second that person walked into that open house and said, dude, you're that guy from YouTube. It was like there was a crack in that door. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to just like wedge my foot in there. And then I'm going to just keep on creating content, keep on putting stuff out there. And then just see if, as I wedge and like pull myself through the door, if anyone notices that I'm in the room with the successful people now.
Yes.
And then no one noticed. And then all of a sudden other successful people start coming up to guys like you and me and saying like, dude, how are you doing what you're doing? And you're like, oh, maybe I belong in here now.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Which is such a wild tale, because I see so 100%. Many parallels. But the fact that you've done this with like deep in debt, with a bike, right, with a cell phone, means that there's very few excuses for most people to get started on something. So let's say you go back today. Now it's 2024. Algorithms changed a little bit on TikTok. Man, like, what would you do different? What would you do the same? What would you recommend if you're Tyler Hassman, just got his license? What would you do?
I wouldn't change anything.
Not a thing.
I tell agents all the time right now. Same thing, like with your story. First off, it's so inspiring. And when you told, it was funny because from the outside in, I just thought like when I saw your videos, I was like, oh, there's this Brad guy. He's just always been the successful real estate agent. He has it easy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's how it always is from the outside. So when I first heard your story, I was like, wow, that's amazing. But I would tell, agents, I still tell them to this day, number one, short form content, right?
Yeah.
House tours, or even talking videos, whatever, because it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
Right? We all have cell phones, and to post online is absolutely free. And if you don't know how, YouTube, just like you, right?
Yeah.
Go to YouTube, get resourceful, figure it out. It doesn't have to be polished, but you got to do it consistent as well.
Yeah.
It's like you went consistent. That's why it worked. It's consistent. So make content, be consistent with it, and go all in on that.
Yeah.
And you got to find that like burning desire to actually go all in and not stop, because this is a business that's so easy to like, get distracted, then try something else, and, just not continue with it. And I feel like, you just got to really dig down, set some goals and some consistent goals of posting every day or posting every second day, and just go all in with it. And I think, especially nowadays, focusing on your personal brand and not the brokerage brand or the team brand. It might be a little controversial if you're on a team, but I think, a lot of teams now are a lot more inclusive to being like,
Much
yeah,
more
we're a
open to
team, but like have your own personal Instagram and create your own little brand, because they benefit from that too, right?
For sure.
But I think, surround yourself with people that are like that, because this is the new age of things, right? The personal brands, the online brands, that's what's big now. The brokerage brands are not important, I don't think, anymore, especially with millennials buying houses.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know what brokerage I'm at when they're buying a house. You know what I mean? It didn't matter. They're working with Tyler Hassman. So I think going all in with that, because it doesn't cost anything and you have nothing to lose, because at the end of the day, you're not spending all this money investing into, ads or anything. You're just doing it. It's just your time.
So I think one of the things though that shines through with your content is that it's so like, it's you, right?
Yes.
Like you are like, I always think about it in terms of like agents saying like, oh, you know what? I tried to do a tour in my market and it didn't hit. I wanted to start a YouTube channel and we tried to do the camera movements and we tried to like reverse engineer your video. And then I see a lot of people reverse engineering what you do. And I definitely want, after I finish this thought, you to share what you've been doing on schools. So more agents can come in and learn from you. But there's so many agents that are just like trying to kind of do that, rip off and duplicate that. Like so many of the coaches around the industry have been saying for years, like, oh, this guy's successful, go do what he does, right? And I think that's true to an extent, right? But it's like, I've seen your jackets, I see the hat, I see all these things, but that's you, right? And that. So how much of the you piece, like your personality, your energy that you bring to it, is important, and how can agents find their own version of themselves, the thing that makes them super unique? Like what advice would you have for them to kind of like be like, this is who I am to the world? Yes,
I love that, because at the end of the day, you need to be unique, right? And the best way to be unique is to be yourself. So even me with, obviously the hat is a big part of my brand. Some people are just like, oh, it's that hat guy. They don't even know my name, right? Like it's the hat real estate guy. But the hat and the outfits and what I wear is a big thing. But even bigger than that is the personality.
Much bigger than
is
that.
The energy I bring to my videos and all that. And the way I got that energy and the way I talk and the way I get excited about like, this is a $500,000 house, let's go. Is because that's who I really am. Like it is crazy. There's times where like we'll be at restaurants or something and I'm like talking with friends or I'm just getting excited about something and people are like, who is this guy? Like getting all amped up. That's who I am as a person. So I always tell people the best way to be yourself isn't try to emulate me or emulate you or anything. It's just who you truly are as a person. Do that. So when you're out front of a house, maybe you're not the guy like me that's like, this is what 500,000 gets you, because I genuinely get excited. I'm like, even with clients, I'll be showing a house, I'm like, this is sick. I get excited. Whereas, do whatever you think, because there's people doing video tours out there where, I was watching someone there in Toronto and their vibe is just so chill. They're just like, hey guys, what's up? Like, this house is like 500,000. Let's go check it out. Tons of views. People are obsessed with it because it's like that. You can just tell that it's authentically them. So I think for anybody out there that's starting out, number one, when it comes down to outfits and your personal branding, wear something that reflects like who you believe you are, how you feel, or like what you would just wear on like a weekend if you're going out to like, a party or something, or like, a nice cocktail lounge, like something at least that's not a little bit too iffy. I don't know about that.
I don't know. This is Cardi B, right?
Cardi exactly. Brad. I love that. And, I think like dress how you want to and dress what reflects you. And I think that'll shine. But then also in your videos, just be yourself. There's Coffee with Coleman, one of my main guys down in Washington, D.C. Met him at Rev B.
Nice.
And he went all in on his videos after hearing my talk. And he now 30,000 followers on Instagram, tons of like success with it. And he's always wearing, I think it's a Philadelphia Eagles hat.
Yeah.
But he's always wearing, I might not be, but anyways, a sports team hat.
Yeah.
And during his voiceovers, he doesn't even talk about the house. He talks about random stuff. He's like, oh, I was on the way to this property and I saw this dog and there was like a dog. You know what I mean? He just talks about, or there was a football game the other night and he's like, the voiceover is him talking about football. The videos go crazy good and he's getting all these people because it's just him. And that's why I even like it, where there's some agents that'll literally do exactly what I'm doing, even take the same script and same wording. And they're like, hey man, how do you like my video? I'm like, honestly, like it could be good if you just didn't try and, have my personality, like let your character shine.
So in 2024, then I think the game is actually whoever can be themselves the most.
Yes.
Whoever can be themselves the most is the person that's going to win on social media, because you don't have to be cool, young, hip, super flashy, whatever it is. And I think of even the people like in our world, guys like Rylan.
Yes.
He's got this just casual, chill vibe to him, and he just blows up. Like he just resonates with so many people, where I know some people will watch me and be like, oh, it's salesy.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'll watch other guys and I'm like, no, that's salesy. Like that's newscaster and stuff. And it feels inauthentic.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's just other people do you know Roland Osage?
No, I don't.
So Roland's out of the Bay Area. He's another great agent at our brokerage. And he's created like the fun content, hilarious content, all the different stuff. The stuff that resonates is a one take, him just like, hey, I just showed this property here. And then he like camera goes out to the street.
Amazing.
And it's like a 3-minute thing and he's getting 15,000 likes like on these shots on, from some property he toured in the Bay Area. And it's just that like voyeur aspect where people are just like, okay, I'm just on the tour with this dude. He's not overselling it. He's not worrying about getting everything perfect. He's not worrying about transitions. Like some of the stuff that I think that you've done really well is you've captured this bridge between like the simplicity of using the equipment of just an iPhone and a gimbal with a drone to just like, it's almost like you've like squeezed the most kind of energy and pow, and then you add your personality in there to get a little bit more from it, but still it's an iPhone, it's a gimbal, shooting 4K 60 HDR.
Yes.
And so like the drone shots, that editing piece, like what do you think? Do people need more? Do they need less? Is it different for everyone? Do they have to just create till they find a style? Like how did you find yours?
I love the last option. Create until you find your style.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing, because at the end of the day, like to get good at something and to find your thing when you're creating content is to create as much content as possible. Because if you watch my day one videos, they're absolutely trash. Like it is brutal. I can't believe people actually watched those. And I even look back and I'm like so embarrassed. I'm like, oh my God. But even if I look at the car videos I did way back in the day, I'm like, oh, I really hope nobody finds these, right? But at the end of the day, you can see the evolution to me finding what I like and what I don't like. And when I'm making my videos, my home tour videos, I am not like, what are people really going to like? Yeah. I'm like, what do I want to see? Yeah. Right? I'm like, I like when the price comes up right away and there's a drone shot here and then I just tour the house and talk about it. And then, that's always going to evolve, because I always like, now I'm like, I actually personally like the more lax, like walk through and just talking videos, right? Yeah. So I'm going to get more into that. I'm going to switch it up. But at the end of the day, you're going to find your thing by just doing it. Because if you just like try to sit in a room and be like, hey, let me master plan what my video is going to look like. That's what a lot of people do. And they'll be like, hey, I'll do this, then I'll do this. Oh no, but then Tyler did this, but then I saw Brad's video do this. And then they're sitting there with like a whiteboard of their notes. And it's like months go by and they never do anything. Just grab your phone, go to a property, film it. And then after that, be like, what do I like? What don't I like? And then evolve. Because that's all I did. I've never sat down and be like, I'm going to think of a master plan for these videos. It's always just been like, hey, this video is cool. What if I did, like eventually I was like, what if I got a drone, do some drone shots? And then all of a sudden I was like, what if I walked up to the drone and then waved and then it flew away? It kind of looks cool. Yeah. Started doing that. And then I just evolved into trying different things as I was doing it. So everyone needs to start. And the thing is too, maybe it's not home tour videos. Maybe it is just talking videos.
Yeah.
Maybe it's community tours. Maybe it's showing restaurants. You need to just do whatever works for you. And what happened to work for me, because I also love doing it, is showing properties. But I think the biggest thing is start it, and then you'll evolve as you get going.
So that the piece that I think people get kind of bogged down on, right, is they don't know where to start. So then they kind of keep putting that off.
Yeah.
Like most great business ideas die during the planning phase.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of success with my YouTube channel. I've had a lot of success like in real estate, but yet even still, every time we try a new idea, I work obviously with my videographer, Levy, and he's one of the most brilliant creators around. And I struggle constantly because I'm like, okay, this is a new thing. What if we do this? This has to be right. And that evolve part feels like it's harder because I don't feel like if I put this out into the industry, I'm starting at my day one.
Yes.
It's like people are expecting me to be 5 years down the road already into this process. So right down to even a podcast like this, you're like, oh man, like, is this going to be valuable for people and all that stuff? But ultimately I don't hold people to the same standards I hold myself to, right? And when I see people trying new stuff, different things, like I get excited for it. But the only thing that I care about with every content creator I watch, like I think the one thing that's consistent is they're super passionate about the one thing that they do that's unique to them.
Yeah.
So like I watch Cash Jordan, his YouTube channel. He's got an amazing YouTube channel in New York City. It's part Casey Neistat. It's completely him. He tours just cheap rentals and tells people like, this is what you could get for, 20 cheap rentals in New York. So like $2,900 US a month for 600 square feet kind of thing. And he kind of just documents. He's got this really hip kind of take on it. I watch Casey. I watch like Peter McKinnon, who creates these really cinematic videos and stuff, teaches people how to do videography on YouTube. So I watch a million different creators for what is unique about them, not because I like everything highly polished and unique. So agents need to find that thing that is their thing, like their possible thing. So it's okay to create stuff because in the beginning, no one's really watching anyways.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
And I think it's wild, especially going into 2024. Agents really need to listen to this because the past like year, 2 years ish, there's been a huge rise in really high end production, crazy editing, looks really cool, but it is now changing. People want that more organic, like, raw cut, like what's up. Yeah. And there's a workout guy, Sam Sulek. Have you heard of him or seen him? No. He has
obviously not. Easy.
Yeah, I thought maybe. But he's got millions of subscribers on YouTube, millions of followers over. He is one of the fastest growing, biggest like content creators out there. And all of his videos still to this day, there's an iPhone with him at the gym or him driving to the gym, just talking. Okay, no edits, no nothing. And he's even between sets, it's just him like breathing and like talking,
we should put this
people
in the
up.
show notes so people can check that out.
Yeah. And this guy is the biggest guy out there, literally the biggest. And he is just massively like the subscribers, the followers, and all these other fitness people will have these insane edits, insane cool videos that get you hyped up. His a complete opposite. But it's because even like me, I'm like, I watch these things. So I'm like, I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm his friend. And then that's also goes into the whole live streaming thing that's huge right now, right? Mm-hmm. All these like YouTubers and all these people are now doing live streams. And I never really got it. I'm like, do people actually go on a live stream and watch these people do random stuff and play video games? And then Steve will do it from the Nelk Boys. He had a thing on his story and he was just like, hey, I'm going live on Kick, the streaming platform, and I'm at the casino or gambling with Dana White from UFC. And I was like, okay, I may as well watch it. I'm not into video games, so I never watch like live video game stuff. So I went on there and it's literally like an iPhone and there was just live. He was mic'd up with Dana White and here they are just like talking and like having drinks and they're gambling and they go play slots. And I'm like watching this thing. I'm not even joking. 2 hours went by. It was like, whoa, but it felt like I was actually there because there was no cuts or anything like this. Steve will do, it's kind of a character, obviously. He went to the bathroom and he didn't turn his mic off. He's just like peeing, you could hear it, and he's just like, oh yeah, guys. He's like, what's up, guys? Don't forget to like go check out the merch. It was so funny, but I'm like, I like this. I love the unpolished stuff. Yeah. So that there's a huge rise in that, and I feel like, it's really good for all of us because we all have phones. So just go and do it. And I think one thing too, like around this whole topic is Richard Branson, Virgin, creator. And his biography was absolutely amazing. Like he was the kind of guy that just went and did stuff and it happened. His saying is screw it, let's do it. And that's the thing of like your content, all the videos you have in your draft folder, the ideas you've had, screw it, let's do it. Just post it. Who cares? And I feel like I even find myself like that. Like I was saying, I've been wanting to do some long form YouTube stuff. I've been putting it off, then doing a bunch of grand planning. Then the plans got canceled. One house fell out and we had to go get another house. And then I was up in Edmonton just last week. And I was like, do you know what? My fiance Jade was helping me film. And I was like, turn the phone sideways. I'm just going to do like similar thing I'm doing short form, do it on long form. I'll talk a little bit more to make it longer. I'll get a couple drone shots. I'm just going to put something together, right? Screw it. Let's do it. I just need to get started.
Yeah.
But then I had that feeling like, you know, as you get bigger with something, you're like, hey, well, if I come up with something, it has to be extra good because I got a following, I got expectations. But I was like, no, like I feel like I just need to post it. And then I was sitting on those, the clips for like a week. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to post it. And then I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to put it together. So I put it together and I was like, yeah, this is kind of looking good. It could be cooler. Like, you know, so I've done some filming with some insane videographers where like it looks amazing, where I was like, this isn't that polished, but I feel like it's still good. And then I was showing my fiance and she was just like, this is amazing. She's like, number one, all this stuff you're talking about, like with all these crazy shots and all that, you don't even realize that when watching. Number two is it's your character that a lot of these people are actually attracted to and want to watch. And I think that's the thing, going back to this whole thing, is like even a Casey Neistat video, you know, he has such an amazing brand. Some of his videos are super high quality and insane edits. Other ones, he literally has an iPhone and he's talking. Both ones I'm watching, right? All the way through. And that's the thing I think that people need to realize is that number one, screw it, let's do it. Just put the content out there. Number two, just like get out of that mindset of like it needs to be perfect because it never will. And even I to this day am going through that. So I'm going to be posting my first long form tour actually today on my YouTube.
Okay.
And it was all with an iPhone. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I have the resources to go and shoot some crazy thing, but I was like, I'm just going to go back to the basics. So I guess we'll see if it works or not.
Okay, that's amazing. So that's one of the questions I was actually really curious about. So you've got TikTok.
Yes.
You're crushing it on Instagram as well.
Yeah.
If you had to choose between one of those two platforms, 2024, February, which one are you choosing?
Instagram, 100%.
Okay.
Instagram is the number one platform.
But you're that TikTok guy.
I know. I have a little nemesis with, if that's the right word, with TikTok. I'm like, so
love,
TikTok,
hate.
Yeah, love, hate. That's exactly it. So the thing with TikTok is that you know, the pros to TikTok is like it's really easy. If you have like if I'm at a really cool property, I'm like, no, it's gonna go viral. It'll go viral like quick, millions of views, get me a bunch of followers. It's amazing. But the downside to TikTok is number one, it doesn't push all your videos to your audience. So I have almost 200,000 followers on there, and there's videos on my page that only have 5,000 views. So I'm like, how do I have 200,000 people and not even, 5,000 can see it?
1/40th.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, it barely reached your content. Even like I follow, even actually before coming here, I was looking on your TikTok. I was just like seeing your updates. And I was like, whoa, like I'd never even seen these videos. I follow you. and I'm on TikTok every day. I'm like, how did I not see these videos? Yeah. They didn't pop up. So at the end of the day, that's something they don't push it to everyone. So it's very sporadic. It's highs and very low lows. Yeah. Third thing that sucks about TikTok is there's no verification. So there's like 30 some fake accounts of me that will not get taken down. I've tried everything. They're messaging and scamming people. It sucks. It happens.
And they're copying and pasting your content.
Exactly. And I feel like that might be affecting some of my videos because then TikTok's seeing there's multiple video getting posted everywhere.
Of course.
And so I don't know. That's kind of frustrating. But at the end of the day, it's a really good platform to go big quick if you can hit it. And then Instagram, I think Instagram is the number one platform out of everything because everyone's on it, right? Like there's not anybody that's not on it. And the second thing is the verification, so people know it's really you. I know you have to deal with a lot of imposters and getting your account taken down. So the verification is an amazing thing. Second thing is that your followers actually see your content. Like on mine, I have about almost 100,000 followers, and no matter what, every video is within 2 weeks at 20 to 40,000 views, no matter what. I don't have any videos below 20,000.
So just to compare those, because you basically on TikTok, you're seeing that sometimes you get, 1 out of every 40 followers might actually see that video.
Yes.
right? But on Instagram, you're actually getting about 20 to 30%. So
Yes.
like really almost 1 in 5
Yes.
people that are following. So the way I look at it, because so I've talked with a lot of different people around this, like some guys who've crushed it on TikTok. I've talked with some big real estate agents with big personal brands, guys like Ken Pozek and
Yep.
Tom Story that are crushing it on YouTube. Everyone has an Instagram strategy.
Yeah.
Everyone has an Instagram strategy. But what they find is that 1 million views on TikTok, and I'm curious about your thoughts on this, but because you've got multiple ways that you monetize this, but the average agent that's just going out there trying to get leads and sell the house, not looking for brand deals, not working with builders, all that other stuff, which I'd love to get into if you have time. But those people are finding that you might get for 1 million views, maybe a monetary value of anything from zero, maybe up to $15,000 or so. You get a commission or a lead or two or so. But if you get 1 million views on YouTube, 1 million views on YouTube is worth about 400,000 to 600,000.
Yes.
So like the value of that piece, that's why for me, as much as I love TikTok and I love the other pieces, I'm like, okay, stick with the thing that just pays all the bills and I can figure out everything else later if I want or not, right? But that is the main thing is just stay that main thing because it's like, okay, it's so convertible. But then when we started looking back into it, we're like, so many of the conversations, even if they originated for you maybe on TikTok or they originated for me over on YouTube, the connection actually starts on Instagram.
Yes.
They go there, they go follow you, and they want that social interaction that YouTube doesn't quite have, and that TikTok doesn't quite always give you as targeted, as local, as even just it's even a little bit more cumbersome. It feels like to talk on TikTok. So how are you finding? Is that connection, the talking with people, that DMing, is that where a lot of the business gets done?
Yeah, 100% of it does. And it's all on Instagram DM.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the reason why is that like people are there's even friends, even family. Like I find myself DMing on Instagram more often. It's just like I respond to their story and I see their kid and I'm like, oh, it's so awesome seeing them. They're like, oh yeah, how you been lately? Yada, yada. You know what I mean? So I feel like Instagram DM is absolutely amazing. TikTok, I tell people to hit me up on Instagram because I want to convert them over to my Instagram. I don't like being in the TikTok interface. Not many people are messaging on there. So yeah, I would say Instagram's the best space for that. And I totally agree with what you said about the views. Like I've had times where like even on TikTok, I'm averaging anywhere from 7 to 12 million views per month. And I know that like that's a big spread, but because sometimes you have good months, sometimes you have bad months. And on Instagram, it's anywhere from that 5 to maybe 7, right? So, but Instagram, maybe the people are seeing it on TikTok and then come to my Instagram page, they're messaging me, but like all of my lead generation is from Instagram, them messaging me on there. But the other thing though, is that the amount of times I've even had people that like see the video on TikTok or they're seeing like the brand out there, like, you know, there's millions and millions of views. You know, a lot of times there might not be leads that come in right away, but they're at least seeing it. They're seeing who I am. They're recognizing the hat. They know he's a realtor. You know what I mean? So that it's like a billboard. You know what I mean? If you have a billboard out by the airport and everyone's driving by it, it's not like, it's like, oh, we had 100 people or 100,000 people drive by this morning. We didn't get a single call though. Like this isn't working. No, it's in their minds, right? They subconsciously are seeing it. That's marketing. So I feel like that has been very successful because like even Rylan, amazing agent, me and him are very close. You know, we always talk, it's funny because like those luxury tours we do that get all these views, 0 leads on that specific house. But, not all the time, obviously there's leads that come in from the house, but there'll be people that be like, hey, saw that video. That was insane. I'm looking for a condo downtown. Or hey, I'm looking for one of those new builds you posted. Hey, or they'll follow us because they're like, oh, I like this guy's videos, and I'm looking for a house later on. They'll follow us, and then a year later, like, hey, I've been following you for a year. I've been connected on Instagram, see all these house tours. I'm ready to buy. Or sometimes you hit the jackpot. There was a $5.3 million house in Red Deer with a helicopter pad. The agents, they brought the marketing team. The marketing team really wanted me to get it out there. The agents were like, well, this isn't gonna work on TikTok or Instagram. They're like, no, like we gotta get this Tyler guy out. Came out, filmed it. They had a bunch of viewings strictly from the video, and then it sold that week for over ask from someone that saw the video on TikTok.
Insane.
Yeah, so they were like blown away, and that kept me really busy up in Red Deer now. I'm like really busy out there. But that was one of the record sales for actually like a single house. Like that's a big price tag up in central Alberta. And that was literally from one of my TikTok videos. So there's a lot of people like, oh, does this work? Does it really work? There's someone or somewhere out there seeing it that is like, is subconsciously seeing it. And it's funny. It's the exact same story when you double-ended one from TikTok.
Yeah. So,
because the guy that saw the video, his 16 or 17-year-old son was like, hey, Dad, look at this video of this house in central Alberta where we're looking to move. And the dad was like, wait, what? And then like called up the agent and was like, hey, I saw the video.
So I think this is the thing that agents need to constantly be thinking about with the content that they make, the time that they're spending, because this is definitely a different thing. Like instead of door knocking and cold calling and sitting a million open houses a week and all that stuff and trying to have those one-to-one conversations, this still takes time to create the content. But for me, it's all about, I'm at a stage in my life where I realize I'm starting to understand the power of like leverage. Like, okay, if I make this short form, I can put it on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. For the first time in history, you can hit 3 major platforms, usually with the same thing. Throw it up on LinkedIn if you really want to do some like old school business stuff.
Absolutely.
So there's some opportunities there. But what I find is that when we were out filming this $3.5 million tour, like 10-minute long video, 12-minute long video, at the last minute, we were just like, you know what? We're already here. Say like 7 seconds of something into the front of the video. My wife's just like, hey, want to see inside a $3.5 million home? Cut a few shots together, put it up, 125,000 views like overnight on TikTok. Get a call from a 70-year-old prominent Calgary businessman. His 40-year-old son or 35-year-old son seen the video, sent it to him, booked 2 showings that afternoon, double-ended. It was my first 6-figure
That's insane.
commission that I'd ever made, was just strictly from this one TikTok video. And then, so we've had success even with small amounts like from the different platforms. But speaking of the different platforms, like it's 2024 now, you're talking about just dropping your first long form YouTube video, which is so cool because it's a whole different audience.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, right? There's like a whole different audience there. But like, what is next for Tyler Hassman for your content strategy that would relate to agents? Because I know you've got like the brand, celebrity, all this other stuff that's going on, but like the stuff that the agents can watch and be like, okay, Tyler's doing this. Maybe there's something to learn from it.
Yes. I think my whole thing right now is like, I feel like the days of TikTok, Instagram, of just posting a generic video and then it going viral is like gone. I feel like TikTok was doing that because they wanted a bunch of people on their platform. And then Instagram about a year ago or 6 months ago with Reels, they wanted more people watching Reels. So they were boosting videos. So it was easy to get views.
It's like this dopamine hit.
Exactly.
Oh my God, 30,000 views. I want to go chase that feeling.
Exactly. And now I'm sitting here being like, that doesn't work anymore, right? Now we got to actually work for views.
Yeah, they're pushers.
Yeah, exactly.
They're pushers.
Right? So I'm like, okay, how can I get more views? And the way of that is just being so creative by trying different things. So I think agents out there, just try. Because even me, people are like, well, you got to figure it out. You're doing this. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm literally, it was even the whole way up to Edmonton, we're driving, and I was talking to my fiance. I'm like, okay, like I like need to figure something out. Like, you know, the views on the past couple of videos I did were going down. I'm like, hey, but it's the same thing I'm doing 6 months ago. So like, I got to change it up. And I've been thinking and planning, but then I'm not trying to do too much planning that I'm not actually implementing. So I'm just out here in 2024, trying a bunch of new things that I think will work. I'm willing to fail. I'm willing for videos to absolutely flop and people be like, what did he just do? But I just know deep down, like when I was riding my bike, I just knew deep down that what if thing, right? I'm just like, man, like what if I'm just try all these different videos and then all of a sudden one takes off and it's a certain style that's the new trend. Like that's the new asking people how much they pay for rent in New York. That guy, millions of followers, life changed. He's made it. I'm like, I feel like that's what I'm going to go after. And that I'm just going to hit that by trying it. So someone in your market, you might be the first one to be that like chill home tour guy. Boom. Everyone goes and buys houses from you. You might be the first one that, you know, does a certain type of market update video or a certain whatever. So then you're going to really take that leverage. But if you just copy what I'm doing, copy what Brad's doing, copy what, you know, other people are doing for market updates, you're just going to be another agent making content. You're not going to have that big breakthrough or have massive success. So I think go and try anything and everything, get creative. So, and post on all the platforms.
Yeah,
too many people are like,
absolutely.
"Oh no, I only do this." No, post on Instagram. Post
You might
on
find
TikTok.
an audience on a different spot.
Totally.
Right? You
Absolutely.
might hit one area, not another area.
100%. Go on all of them. It's so smart to do that. And I also think still do traditional things if you want to. Go door knock, go cold call. But when you're doing that, why not make some content around it? You know what I mean? Have fun with it.
So, so this has got me completely excited. We've been sitting for months and months and months on content that we were wanting to share with the world, more agent-facing stuff. And it's been, if you're watching this video, that means we've finally released it now. But we went through iterations and iterations of it. And one of the biggest things I'm struggling with right now, and this is the challenge with waiting. So about a year and a half ago, I went for dinner with Ryan Serhant after the first Rise conference.
That's amazing.
And we were chatting and we were talking back and forth. And he was like asking like, oh, what we got going on? I was like, man, I've been sitting on this idea. I want to do this YouTube channel, like, which is kind of like a DIY personal brand for agents, right?
Yes.
Like how they can go create content that's actually going to bring them in deals, not just kind of even just get views or anything. So like something that they can go pay the bills with. And, basically the way I built my personal brand. So, I'm thinking about calling it like Brand It Like Brad.
Amazing.
And he's like, oh yeah. I was like, like Bend It Like Beckham, Sell It Like Serhant, Brand It Like Brad. He's like, oh, it's catchy. Ryan Serhant's releasing Brand It Like
I was going to send that to you.
Right
I saw
now.
that. I know.
And I'm like, this is why you don't sit on an idea for a year and a half.
Good lesson.
Right? Because
there.
now like everything forward is just like, it's either just, oh yeah, so you just copied Serhant.
Yeah.
No, I told him about a year and a half ago. I was like, oh no, I'm going to do this thing. And we sat there. And the reason why I think the biggest thing that holds you back is this idea of like, gotta be perfect. But the mantra now, I think, like you said, is you don't actually know what the thing is that's going to actually hit. Like you could spend 6 months planning and that be dead on arrival. But if you're 4 ideas deep 2 weeks later, and maybe the third or the fourth or the 17th idea is the thing that hits, that's the thing that you go all in once you found that little space where you can kind of build and aggregate an audience around. Now, listen, as far as the content that you have been making, you've helped so many people already on a one-to-one basis. I notice like I get DMs about what I do. I know you get DMs about what you do. So recently you've done this big give back to agents, no ask, all 100% value, which is just so millennial of you to do that. Like no
exactly.
charge.
Yes.
And you're using the school platform, which Hormozy's just released. Tell us a little bit about like how can people go and find out a little bit more about that, connect with you. I hear you doing like a once a week thing too, where they can actually connect. Man, I think people would love to hear about that.
Awesome. I'm glad we're talking about that so we can help some agents out. I got a completely free community, completely free course that's always being updated with new video trends and new stuff, and a completely free weekly call, Zoom call, where I get on there, I talk about educational stuff for the first 20 or so minutes, get people hyped up, and then we go dive into a Q&A. So it's all completely free. And the reason why I'm doing all this for free is because I genuinely want to help agents with their short form content. The second thing is I always get questions in DMs, and I was always like answering them all. I'm like, if I just put everyone together and I answered one question or like 50 questions once, they can all get value from that. And then I think the last thing is my mission is my content. So it's not to, create another business doing a consulting thing or anything else.
Yeah.
I just want to solely focus on my content and really get that. But if I'm able to, make some extra training videos while I'm learning something, give it to some agents and they're able to see that, then go ahead. And the third reason why I'm doing that is because, I always think when I first started, I'm so grateful that I had the experience of doing videos and of sales from all my past 6 years of being an entrepreneur and doing sales, that, when I see new agents now that are in a similar position, like broke, not like restarting, not having money, and then they're like, but I don't have any video skills or sales skills. And then they're like, oh, I got to go join a course and pay all this money. I'm like, that's hard to get out of because I've been there and it sucks. It's also expensive to be an agent. So I'm like, if I could give that away for free and see people get results, which they have, that to me was the greatest feeling ever. And I think that was like a big reason why I wanted to do that too. And at the end of the day, none of this is rocket science. I want people to remember that. Like it's a phone, a free editing app, CapCut, and you just need a house and I can help you out.
Well, I think one of the coolest things, man, is that from that time just over 2 years ago now, where we first met and we met at Earl's at this restaurant, we had this chat. You'd been doing it not even 60 days. You were just starting to bump off. I remember sitting at that call and kind of feeling like I did do today, like just motivated, like the future's full of possibilities. I remember thinking this guy is absolutely, he's going to crush. Like life just hasn't caught up to give him the success yet that he deserves, but it's clearly coming. Yeah. So it's so awesome to see. There's so much more to talk to you about how you've spiraled these videos into builder contracts, into basically like a content creation or referral network. Yep. You've built a network even at Real Broker, which is something we didn't even chat about. And you're getting all these referrals, all these different opportunities. And can agents still work with you? Like how can they work with you? They can be a part of that community, but I'm an agent, I'm in LA, I've got a $28 million listing. How do I reach out to you? Is that something you do anymore?
100%.
You're interested in?
Yes, absolutely. Amazing. Instagram DM. I don't care who you are or what you do. I go through my DMs every single day. There's a lot of them in there. But like, I'm always willing to respond to anyone that even wants to chat, wants to talk. I'm always willing to help out, give connections, give advice, or whatever that may look like. I mean, because I'm passionate about this, you know, I'm really passionate about it.
I love it, man. Well, listen, the name of this podcast, in case I didn't tell you earlier, it's the Brand It Podcast. And this episode, we learned how to brand it like Tyler Hassman. Tyler, thank you so much for being here today, dude. I really appreciate it. I know that's tons of value for everyone else. Thanks a lot. If you enjoyed this conversation, we got some more great ones coming up with other thought leaders. We'd love you to check them out. So don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Brand It Podcast.